Hi everyone. I think just the first few slides, I'm just going to explain a little bit about who we are as a business. Let's get the cursor right here. But basically, Val Morgan Outdoor, or VMO, is a digital media business. We operate in digital out of home and specialise in I guess real-time measurement. Our parent company is called Hoyts. They're a cinema business, so we have quite a large percentage of the cinemas in Australia and New Zealand, and we also represent 90% of all advertising sales across both those markets. Last year we got bought by the Wanda Group. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Wanda Group. They're a Chinese-based business with interests in property, leisure and entertainment. And they also own companies like AMC and Legendary Films. So their vision is to basically own 20% of all box office sales by 2020, which is pretty big. So there's plenty of money in the war chest, which is fantastic. Our assets, we have a shop network, which is obviously in shopping centres. We've got about 500 shopping centres. They're all in proximity to purchase, to retailers and supermarkets. And we're also focused on putting our formats in high dwell areas such as travellators and food courts. We have our gym network. We bought this last year. It's called Active Media. It has Fitness First, Good Life Gyms and Fit and Fast. And basically it's a network that has fantastic dwell time. It's a very engaging format as far as, we've got people there for quite a long period of time, and we also have a magazine, multimedia element built into this product. We also have On The Go. On The Go is basically a petro convenience network, obviously at petrol stations. This is one of the areas that we developed some of our early programmatic work back in 2014 based on that one-to-one engagement, so it's quite easy for us to sort of approach programmatic on the go. And then where I spend most of my time, which is the lab, and here we do a lot of work with new technologies and creating sort of immersive experiences. We also play quite a lot of sort of work in analysing products like Quividi, so we can create real-time solutions and work out our programmatic offering. So in Australia, digital out of home is absolutely booming. It's been an absolute renaissance period for us. Back in 2012, digital out of home accounted for about 7.5% of the market. This year it got close to 40%, and that's quite a conservative estimate there. It's a PwC estimate, but what Posterscope's predicting in our market is by 50%, all out-of-home spend will be through digital out-of-home formats in Australia. So there's a real shift there, and obviously we've been gearing up like other outdoor companies in Australia to cater for that demand. So with this shift of format and the introductions of smart technologies such as AI-based technologies, we felt that there was a need for us to look at ways that we could provide our own measurement that wasn't sort of catering for sort of analogue or sort of static-based formats, taking into consideration things like being able to share the playlist with other advertisers and so on, so you could actually look at the engagement that was actually relating back to a particular campaign or ad. So the term artificial intelligence, it's obviously been around for a long time. It's not reserved only for sci-fi movies, and it's something that we don't necessarily have to be sort of scared about. In fact, this quote here by John McCarthy suggests that, and this is back in '56, that artificial intelligence is the science and engineering of making intelligent machines. And there's a lot of leading companies, we probably should have put Intel up there as well, but that really are investing a lot in this sort of AI-based technology. Cortina, the Microsoft example, was mentioned before. You've obviously got the Siri product, which is obviously part of Apple, and Amazon with Alexa. They're all products that are creating like a virtual assistant to make our lives better and personal. In fact, Google, which is another company that we've got up there, they've invested in over 15 AI businesses over the last 3 years. So there's absolutely billions of dollars being sort of pumped into AI-type businesses to make the consumer experience or our lives a lot easier and better. So what's the sort of the future implications of AI in media and communications? Well, we work really closely with this lady here. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with her. Her name is Karen Nelson-Field, and she's a Professor of Media and Innovations at the University of Adelaide in Australia. And she says there's never been a more exciting time to be in media research. AI is challenging the inertia of old school media research metrics, providing marketers and agencies more accurate empirical data than ever before. So how is this relevant to our platform, VMO? Well, we felt, as I mentioned, that we needed to challenge the status quo and do something that actually provided measurement based on a digital format, and we came up with a product called Dart. Let's give you a quick video on that.
Dart, digital outdoor audience in real time. Dart 2.0 gives brands the most intelligent out-of-home audience measurement system in market. An audience measurement system so advanced, it's like having a digital analyst assessing audiences while they view your outdoor content in real time. A digital analyst anonymously tracking over 2 million Australians weekly. Dart 2.0 measures those viewing your content based on their age, gender, when they viewed and how many viewed across the entire length of the campaign. Dart 2.0 reads audience characteristics with precision, identifying 18 demographic profiles. It even highlights facial features. No moods. No viewing habits. Test different creative to know what gets the best response. Have your content triggered when the relevant target audience is watching. Yes, Dart 2.0 now makes programmatic outdoor possible. Dart, advanced technology, offering brands more possibilities, more insights, greater accountability.
So we launched Dart back in 2014. To much acclaim, we were able to secure millions of dollars worth of campaign revenue as a result of providing, I guess, some real accountability to our format. We had a lot of issues with I guess, clients wanting a single facing rather than sort of multiple facing that they were sharing, even though the inventory was more premium. But that accountability really helped us sort of define our business. Now with the advancements that Quividi have introduced through their expert version and obviously through machine learnings that they've experienced over the last couple of years, we've got a much more accurate product that allows us to be able to identify different demographics within 5-year age increments, which is fantastic. And this has obviously opened up excuse me, some tremendous opportunities with us programmatically, but also has allowed us to introduce features like obviously identifying whether people have beards or glasses and even what sort of mood they're in. This obviously for us is not only with Dart 2.0 a great proof of performance tool, but it's also been able to give back to marketers some real insights on how their campaign is actually tracking, when their audience is most likely to be present, and whether the actual campaign has actually been engaging to their actual core demographic. Some of the results that we've seen to date is what we know that, for example, with female shoppers, and this is in Australia and it's quite generalised, but we know that they shop between 12 and 5, which is their peak viewing period. And with men, they tend to be shopping between 7 and 10 a.m. and 6 and 9 at night. We also know that a younger audience is most likely to be shopping on Thursday night through to Sunday, and we know that an older audience is there on a Tuesday through to Friday. And we also know that, for example, that shoppers are happier on a Thursday and Saturday. I'm certainly happier on a Thursday and Saturday than a Monday, and that actually comes through in the software, which is pretty cool. And we also know that full motion digital creative is 21% more engaging than static. on the go, which again is our Petro network. Wednesdays we get very strong engagement and big numbers. This works in correlation with the petrol price drops that we get in the Australian market on that particular day. We also know that the bulk of our audience is between 18 and 54, that it's male focused, that they have beards, and a lot of them are actually wearing sunnies. It's quite bright in Australia. Actually, when I left, it was about 38 degrees, so it's a bit of a change to here. So with Programmatic, we've been sort of pioneering this space with Posterscope for the last couple of years, and late last year, this campaign is actually still running. We did a world first where we were actually able to look at ways that we could actually trigger a programmatic offering for our client Paddy's in a shopping centre. So obviously with shopping centres, you're looking at a demographic that is always going to be mixed. So when you're looking at, in this case, women 35 plus, they're only going to represent a proportion of the actual audience that's actually present in that shopping centre at that one time and looking at that screen at that one particular time. So for us, when we look at programmatic, and we're still defining the definition of what programmatic looks like for out-of-home, digital out-of-home that is, but we see it obviously as something which enables advertisers to be a lot more contextual with their messaging. It provides obviously greater accountability and alleviates any sort of wastage by ensuring that we're targeting the right consumer at that right point of time. And that's very much driven by providing real-time data, and that's when we actually trigger that campaign, when we know when that population point is actually at saturation. We'll explain that in the next slide. But the other key thing that we're also finding is that we're getting some really valuable insights on when the actual key demos are actually present, and whether the buying demo that they're using for TV to plan outdoor is actually correct, because often the numbers that are in a shopping centre just about to go in and buy this product aren't necessarily women 35 plus. So how we sort of approached it, and this is a bold step, but it's not necessarily our final step. But first of all, we identify what demographic the actual client is wanting to target, and then we look at historical and live data and work out what's the most appropriate point to actually reach that demographic as far as a saturation point. We then actually program a specific programmatic spot, and when we go live, if that demographic is at that sort of populous point, the ad is triggered, and if it's not, it just moves on to the next spot. Throughout the campaign, we optimise and sort of adjust and make sure that we're actually getting the numbers that the client has been promised, and we sort of provide a fairly detailed post report at the end of that, which obviously gives clients a lot of confidence and gets analysed by companies like Amnet and so on to ensure that the data stacks up. So what's next in our world? Well, I think the future for digital out-of-home is that we're obviously seeing an era where consumers are really looking for far greater sort of personalised messaging from brand, and they're really wanting you to sort of understand where they're at and who they are. So obviously that's super important. We're at a phase where the actual way that media is being purchased isn't necessarily relevant to just sort of screen placement. In a digital world, you buy an audience. So the way that we approach programmatic is audience-based, and our negotiations are done sort of based on a CPM, CPP type delivery. And then finally, all of this has really been sort of driven by data. So, data's the key for us to be able to be part of a digital ecosystem. It allows us to have conversations with trading desks and basically, be able to be fused in with data that we might get from mobile or search and sort of client-based data, so we can be part of the ROI solution. And that's it.
You mentioned a conversation with the trading desk right at the end. What kind of new conversations are you having compared to 5-10 years ago with agents to clients now? And what conversations are you not having that you'd like to have with them?
Yeah, well, I think the conversations that are new conversations because we haven't actually ever dealt with trading desks until the last sort of few years. So the conversations we're having about, I guess, is trying to ensure that we're targeting the ad as appropriate as we can. So alleviating incremental audiences. And sort of, I guess, being part of a digital ecosystem, as I mentioned, so they can really analyse the impact of our format over other digital formats. So we're a fair way down the road in that space, and we expect sort of by the end of this year to be sort of, hopefully connected into some of these sort of trading operators.
Outdoor used to be like an offline industry, right? So you used to talk to offline people who had a different mindset. So now you talk to online people.
Yeah.
Would you think it would be easier for you to educate the offline people to put their money into your programmatic, or to educate online people who are actually thinking clicks and cookies? So where's the challenge in your perspective?
Well, for us, I think we're trying to open up both conversations, so we kind of have a foot in both camps. We have our sales team is very much geared to sell out of home the way it's always been traditionally sold, which is based on proximity and format and so on. And we still use our equivalent to route to sort of provide measurement figures on those formats. But now that we have this real-time data and we're sort of investing in it and we're using it as our own BI tool, we can start to have some pretty intelligent conversations with their digital teams. And we're finding more and more in Australia that these digital teams are actually overarching all formats anyway. So, everything will be digital. That's in my opinion. So we need to be able to work out how we can be a far more exciting format through the use of data and programmatic opportunities.